My nearly adult female parents divorced 10 years ago because my dad cheated on my mom. He married the other woman who had 2 kids. My stepsister Julia, nearly adult, and my stepbrother Josh, young teen, while my dad cheated, their mom didn't. Because their dad had already passed away before that, I was a total daddy's girl. I adored him, and I was glued to his hip. My mom encouraged me to keep a relationship with him. After they split, his new, wise family never paid much attention to me. They weren't mean nor good, but at first, I always had to share my dad with them whenever I visited. If we went hiking or fishing, they had to come. If we went to the movies, had dinner outside or anything, they had to come. I remember, I used to cry at night because I couldn't understand. This stopped when Dad said that we should invite my step-sibling. I just broke down, crying, asking him why he never wanted to spend time with me alone. We had a long talk, and I got to vent how awful I felt, just sitting there waiting for him to turn his head and notice me. Because if I tried to talk or have his attention, they would get in the middle while ignoring me. And he apologized after that. We would spend more time one-on-one, and just a very few instances with all of them. I won't lie, I enjoyed it. I could talk with my dad, do fun stuff, and be around him without waiting for my step-sibling to stop talking to him or anything. Julia and I will be graduating this summer. I got an early acceptance to my college of choice, and when I told my parents, both decided to do something to celebrate. So my mom and I will be having a getaway weekend to the spa, and my dad said he would take me to the beach. I was really excited, so I offered to pay for the hotel reservation because I wanted to feel mature. Lol, my dad said no a bunch of times, but I convinced him. In the end, we were supposed to leave today, but my stepsister was there when he came to pick me up. He said it was a surprise, since both of his girls were graduating. Apparently, she begged him to come with us, and he agreed, saying that she could get his bed and he'll sleep on the floor between us. I could feel my eyes burning, and I told him that this wasn't the deal he tried to convince me. But he ended up leaving with her in my rage. I called the hotel to cancel the room, and I didn't tell my dad when they arrived. He tried to check in, and when he couldn't, he called me. I only said, yeah, I cancelled it, and hung up. He sent me a long text apologizing, and my mom said that what I did wasn't okay, and that I owe them an apology. Apparently they're on their way back, because they couldn't find a hotel edit. The trip with my dad and the spa getaway with my mom was because I got an early acceptance. Not because I was graduating high school. That's why Julia had no business being there. My dad did ask about inviting her, and I said no, not the idiot. He needs to learn how to prioritize. Because you're his kid, your mum might be saying to apologize because she wants you to have a relationship with your dad. But she's not helping at all, because if you do apologize, what's to stop him from doing it again? I think he needs to make it up to you. Because your stepsister just ruined vacation and your graduation celebration. Also, if she knew it was your celebration, she owes you an apology too for being a brat. You didn't do anything wrong and you shouldn't apologize. You paid for you and your dad, not you and your stepsister, and in order for you to forgive him, I think he needs to do something to make it up to you. Honestly, I go no contact or very low contact for a while. He knows how you feel, yet he doesn't respect your feelings and boundaries. I wouldn't call it a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to set your alarm and waking up late. Not bringing stepses when told no and still going to the hotel. When your daughter who paid for the trip has refused to go, that's not a mistake, that's an idiot move, and Dad needs to do better than just apologize. I doubt you'd have apologized if you hadn't cancelled the room. Sounds like he'd have made it a father-stepdaughter trip. He breaks his kid's heart, then continues on the trip. Like no big deal with Julia after Up paid for the room. How did he think that would play out with his own kid's zero self-awareness? Yeah, my gosh. Some people are so dense. Update. I informed my dad that since he keeps hurting me and putting his other family above what I explicitly ask him for, I would rather go no contact with him, and that he was currently uninvited to my graduation. That this was the last time. And while I still love him, and it hurts my heart that it has come to this, I can't keep doing it anymore. I asked him not to contact me again, and I blocked him as for my mom. I explained everything to her, and after much crying on both parts, she apologized and hugged me because she didn't know. So she's supporting my decision. My brother-in-law, my husband's brother, was married to a woman from Greece. Her name is Nana, and their divorce was because of how much my conservative brother-in-law tried to control her clothes and the places she went. He didn't want the divorce and was hoping Nana would accept the life he offered and stay, but she didn't. This happened 2 years ago. He now moved back in with my in-laws, and we'd see him more often. He tried to comment on how I dress on multiple occasions, and it's unbearable. But since my in-law said he's struggling and depressed, I'd let it go. My in-laws celebrated my husband's 30th birthday at their home on Friday. I wore a heart-shaped blue dress and had my hair up while we were eating. My brother-in-law pointed at me and said that my cleavage was showing and that I shouldn't have worn this dress because it looked inappropriate for a family gathering. I was utterly shocked. Everyone was staring at me and I felt so embarrassed, and on the spot, he looked at me waiting for me to blow up. Probably, but I laughed and told him, "Knock knock." He said, "Who's there?" I said, "Nana." Now he paused and seemed confused at the mention of this name. He then faked to laugh and said, "Nana, who?" I said, "Nanny, your business." "What I'm wearing." Okay, he got upset and quickly left the table. My sisters-in-law laughed, but my husband, whose parents were upset and later said that I was way out of line for bringing up Nana to my brother-in-law, knowing how heartbroken and depressed he is because of her. His mom said I was petty and didn't need to dig at him to prove a point. My husband thinks I'm in the wrong and that I was being deliberately hurtful by bringing up Nana, not the idiot he drove his wife away by trying to police her clothes, and he has the nerve to bring that subject up with you. You did need to dig in to show him that his ex-wife was not an aberration. Any woman would find it disgusting to have a man dictate what she can or cannot wear. Yeah, I would respond with driving your wife away. Wasn't bad enough now, you want to try for your brothers as well. And I can't believe he took the bait and said, "Nana, who he is an idiot and your family can't keep coddling him." You should put the heat on your husband and ask him, why do you think I should accept your brother disrespecting me? Do you think it's acceptable for him to speak to me like that? Then really loudly add a sprinkle of, "Hey, can you ask your brother to stop looking at and pointing at my breasts if your husband is willing to sit by and let his brother act like a pig because it doesn't affect him? He isn't a good partner." My 32 female got married to my husband 4 years ago before I met him. I didn't think much of having children, but because my husband and I connected so well, I didn't mind that he had a daughter and wanted to step up to support her in any way I could. When I married into the household, stepdaughter was a tween even from the start, no matter how much I tried to appease her or listen to her. She, on the contrary, got angry or never tried to connect. It's not only with me, she frequently faces detention or gets into petty fights at school, which her dad or I need to address. She also often tries to instigate rumours regarding infidelity, or me talking bad about my husband to her dad. But luckily, my husband and I have good and open communication, so it doesn't affect or erode our trust recently. My husband and I have been talking about having a second child. Unfortunately, this did not sit well with my stepdaughter ever since I've briefly mentioned the idea to her. She's been doing absurd things around the house. She's not flushing after herself in the bathroom. She's been stealing money from my wallet, and I'm not talking about $10 or $20. A whole $100 I left to purchase groceries was stolen. My makeup. Some of my bags also turned up missing, but I let it go because she would never own up to it when I confront her. It turns into full-blown blowouts, to the point where I suspect she has anger, management issues, or personality disorders last Friday. I bought ovulation kits and folic acid vitamins to manage our plans on getting pregnant. I stored them safely in the bathroom wardrobe, even hidden under some towels. Guess what on Sunday when I wanted to test out the kit? It was gone, completely vanished. $50 worth of folic acid vitamins were also gone. I lost it and told my stepdaughter that she better return it. She cursed me out and said that she didn't want my descendants running around in that anger. I told my husband that enough was enough, that he needed to get help for our stepdaughter and discipline her. Or I was packing my bags and leaving. Instead, my husband lets her off easy. I've told him multiple times to talk some sense into her or get her a therapist too. No avail. He's very lenient because stepdaughter threatens him by saying if he doesn't abide by her, she will leave to stay with her mother. My husband thinks I'm an idiot for putting all this pressure on him. And although he understands my frustration, he says I should let it go because that is just who she is. I've had enough, honestly, if it's already this bad. How can I bring a second child into the environment? Am I the idiot? No, not the idiot. There have to be boundaries and limits. She's old enough and still stealing your things and trashing your possessions. If this isn't addressed, you need to get out. That child needs help, professional help in the way of therapy. Your husband is not ready for another child. He refuses to discipline the one he has unless you want to raise your child with a sibling that abuses them. I'd not have a child with this man. His daughter is being taught. She can do whatever she wants and get away with it. She'll be no different as an adult. You and any child you have deserve better than allowing this man and his daughter to rule and ruin your life. Yeah, parenting means setting and enforcing boundaries so the kid grows up into a decent human being. Unfortunately, hubby is refusing to do that. Not sure if the stepdaughter's mother is equally indulgent, but if not having her move, there may be the best thing for her, also Opie. I hope you realize that hubby will be equally hands-off with your child. Consider whether you're okay with that. My 18 male father, 42, got married to his girlfriend Laura, 36, last year. And now they're trying to have a baby. I'd prefer not to know that, but my father wanted to be sure that I'd be okay with him. Having another kid, me being an only child, it's fine by me. Whatever, my parents divorced when I was little, but they never hated each other at all as far as I can remember. They actually always had a very good relationship. My mom also likes Laura and has no problem with her being with my dad. So yesterday, my mom, 41, picked me up at my dad's house and Laura invited her to have tea. They started talking about Laura trying to get pregnant. I wanted to go home and was disgusted listening to my mother talking about something related to intimacy, but I tolerated it at first. I was looking at my phone as if I wasn't paying attention, but I couldn't avoid it. I started complaining that I wanted to go home, but my mom told me that she would talk to Laura as long as she wanted, and that if I didn't like it, I could wait in my room or go home on my own. That was the worst, because I couldn't go to my room without looking like a little kid doing what she told me to in front of Laura. So I had to stay. My breaking point was when my mom asked Laura how many times she and my dad were doing it, and she said at least once a day. Then my mom asked for even more details, so I got very angry and started yelling. I told my mom that she was too old to talk about stuff like that, and that she was disgusting, asking those questions. She apologized to Laura on my behalf and left without taking me home. I think it was very rude of her to do that today. She's been ignoring me as if she's still angry. I know what I said was perhaps too much, but I felt like that core idea was not wrong. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You're too old to be behaving this way. You had the choice to leave the room or go to your mother's on your own, but you chose to stay and throw a tantrum like a little kid. So your plan to impress Laura worked out just great. Grow up and apologize to your mother and Laura. Also, there is no such thing as being too old for intimacy. Exactly. I found it so ironic that he didn't want to go to his room because he'd look like a little kid. So instead, he threw a tantrum, Opie. Do you have a crush on Laura? Because that's what this sentence sounds like. Walking away would have been a much more mature response. Oh my lord, this is so cringy. She's 41, dude. It's so laughable that an 18-year-old thinks he can lecture a 41-year-old on intimate life. It's like weirdly adorable that you think your opinion even matters, like when you see a toddler with the fake steering wheel in a car and they think they're driving, you are the idiot. Check yourself. So I'm confused. Do you want to be the audience for discussing how often your parents have it? His reasoning is trash. His mom isn't too old for anything. But there is something to be said about being part of a conversation about how often your dad and stepmom are doing it that shouldn't be his business. There should be some boundaries or privacy. My brother and his wife had their first child a week ago, and we're all over the moon. Ecstatic, my nephew was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. A nuchal cord. He had no complications other than getting some extra oxygen after birth. I was also born with a nuchal cord. I had a bit more severe of a case, and was in the NICU for a week and a half because of breathing issues after birth. I'm alive today, and perfectly healthy. My brother and I also have a younger sister with developmental disabilities, but she had absolutely zero complications in her birth. Since giving birth, my sister-in-law has been talking to everyone about how she is going to have a disabled baby, and that she needs reassurance that we will all do our best to support her disabled child. But according to my brother, there's been no such determination made by her doctors, just her saying that because of the nuchal cord, he's going to have disabilities and developmental delays. We were all on a group video call, and she was saying that she'd ordered some books about adjusting to be the parent of a disabled child. My mom had mentioned that she also had a nuchal cord baby and that it's scary, but everything will turn out fine. However, my mom didn't mention which of us had the nuchal cord, and my sister-in-law assumed it was my younger sister, my sister-in-law. Then said, I just have to adjust my expectations of motherhood and get used to having a kid like Amanda. My sister, this upset my sister. She adores our sister-in-law, and just her, to say that she needs to adjust to having a child like her. This was when I spoke up. I said actually I'm the one who had the nuchal cord and I was in the NICU for a much more severe reaction to it. My sister-in-law was shocked and said, "Oh, I assumed Amanda would be the one with the complicated birth." I said it was a bit offensive for her to assume that, especially since her doctor said there are no further complications. I finish by saying that Amanda is also amazing and a child like her is not some curse or punishment. My sister-in-law got upset and left the room. My brother then said I was being a witch and hung up my family is torn. My mother and brother think I was way too harsh, but my dad is on my side. My sister is just distraught and isn't really on any particular side. So am I the idiot? Not the idiopy. She wants to be a martyr. Not a mother. This isn't post-birth nerves or stress. She's straight up buying into the identity of mother of a disabled child. Oh please, won't you look at me and pity and admire me for the struggle I have to deal with to it? She's making this entirely about her and her alone. Unfortunately, if the poor baby is behind the curve in any way, shape or form, your sister will cry out, "See, I told you so." Now you all need to commiserate with me and sing my praises about how strong and brave I can be a mother in such a difficult position. Also, I wouldn't necessarily count on your family to see the reality of the situation. Not if they're already siding with her when you rightly pointed out the full inner logic. Wait, I just want to make sure I understood this correctly. Your sister-in-law said that while Amanda was on the call and could hear everything, your sister-in-law said that Amanda was a burden to her family and implied she was a difficult and faulty child, and you're asking if you're the idiot, good lord. You handled that amazingly well, and you're a fantastic older sibling for having Amanda's back 100, not the idiot. And can you be my sibling too? Please, you sound awesome. You